Hospital reporters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Hapanwo TV. Well, this is another reply video to Steve Mumbling. It's the one he always said I'd never make, and now I'm making it, yes. This is all to do with the mysterious, creepy location, Hangar 45. If you want to know what I'm talking about, then the best thing to do is go to the link in the description box, where there's a video called Bases Project Conference 2019, where later on in the video I refer to something there. But there's probably no need to actually check that out just yet, because Steve has, to his credit, Steve Mumbling has provided an awful lot of source material. Now, Steve Mumbling, of course, is the guy who, well, he's always making videos about me. He's my sort of favourite hate follow. And I'm the equivalent for him of Kevin Logan is for me. So anyway, he's done some videos about me. He's done two actually I want to look at in this particular video, which is all about the Hangar 45 situation. So well, I'll let him take it away, and I've got some notes here, so I will stop him at appropriate moments and talk a little bit more about the points he makes. Funny thing about Steve Mumbling, everyone says, "Oh Ben, you're not going to make a reply video to Steve Mumbling, are you?" I mean, I know not everyone likes these videos I make about Steve Mumbling in reply to him. I understand that, and believe me, I won't be making any more replies to him on the moon landing question. However, sometimes it is, I think, necessary to correct him on a few things, because he's actually getting more and more viewers now than he used to, mostly thanks to me, and you know, he needs to be put right on a few things, because especially when I look through the comments section, it's pretty clear that a lot of the people commenting on Steve's videos are either deceptive or they're not very well informed. So for the sake of the latter, I'm going to provide a little bit of background here. I'm also going to address the comments that people have left in Steve's video as well. So let us begin with Steve's video here. So this is called Ben Emlyn-Jones and the Rock Gate. Very curious title, isn't it? But it'll all become clear what that means. Take it away, Steve.
Okay, well, hello again. And,
hello, Steve.
I'm sure there's quite a few of you out there wondering what this Lirock business is all about. There's been several comments posted. What is this thing you keep asking Ben about regarding Lirock? Steve, what's it all about?
Yeah, Steve has put a number of comments on my videos referring to this. Now, this actually is talking about what happened in the last Bases Project conference. Miles, Colin and I went to visit a location which we found very curious. It was a strange place, so we decided to check it out. And excuse me, you could see that in the actual video that I've made, a video report that I've made of that particular event. And Steve has decided to put his own little words in.
Well, it goes to integrity. It makes a point about integrity. You know, the woo-woos, they will tell you science fiction stories in order to keep you interested in the world of woo, or they may be selling books. They may be piffle peddlers.
Selling books, piffle peddlers. Well, Steve? What exactly are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to give our books away? Is that what you're suggesting? Does James Randi have to give his book away? Does Carl Sagan? Does Michael Shermer have to give his books away? Because believe me, I've been to skeptic conferences, and I absolutely assure you the people had bookstores there. There's the skeptic conferences, all the ones I've been to, and I've been to several now, had bookstores, just like the woo-woo conferences. In fact, it was surprisingly similar in its format, actually. So answer that question, I'd be grateful. Should Michael Shermer give his books away? Should James Randi give his books away? Should we? If so, why should we? Why are the rules different for us? Piffle peddling. Well, you see, if you're going to call something piffle and someone's peddling it, well, first of all, you've got to prove it's piffle. And I've actually I've gone to a lot of effort to explain why I think you are incorrect in many of the points you make on your channel. I really do. I've gone to a lot of effort. I've made some quite extensive videos and gone into quite a lot of detail about the things you talk about and why I think you're wrong. And my intention here is to educate people. I know I'll never change your mind. My intention is to educate the viewer into looking at the things you say in a different way. They say you believe you're doing the same for me, but quite clearly I think you're incorrect, as you think I'm incorrect. You accuse us of piffle peddling. I mean, look at the video I made about the alien interview. Look at the one you made about the alien interview. It's pretty obvious you'd actually never heard of the alien interview probably about half an hour before you made that video. And you've got a nerve, actually, Steve, lecturing me on integrity. You really have. I'll say more about that later, but I make an awful lot of effort to have integrity. And I think you falsely accuse me many times in the course of this video, and I'll address those every time you do. So carry on, Steve.
They may want your money,
We want your money. Well, we want in what way? Would you to steal it out of your wallet? Do we? No. Yes, I do want your money in exchange for products we provide. I don't want you to give it to me for nothing. I don't take money from people for nothing. I sell things. I either sell the books I've written or other forms of selling my labour, which is the production of videos. I say to people want to send me a donation, I'm not going to say no. And in a sense, I often give donations to people that I watch if they ask for donations. Why? Because it's exchanging cash for labour. Is there something wrong with that, Steve? I've never understood why this is somehow so bad, because almost every skeptic I've met makes this point. They describe skeptic conferences in lurid, quite almost pornographic detail. I mean, the best example is probably Mark Pilkington and Mirage Men. He dedicates 5 or 6 pages just to going through the merchandise hall at one of the UFO conferences and how awful it is. And it is literally almost... There's something almost erotic in its hatred. And the point I made is, in fact, I did make this point in my review of his book, as you know, because I've done a video where I describe the book Mirage Men and the accompanying film. And I can assure you, it's no different from skeptic conferences. Absolutely no different at all. So explain to me why it's one rule for one, another for everyone else.
These stories of being abducted or making free energy machines, this sort of...
Correct, that's right. There are people who write about both subjects, and they've got every right to. If they are telling what I think is true, and I've explained to you why I think those things are true, why should they not write about it?
Absolute science fiction nonsense.
I could say 2 + 2 = 4 is science fiction nonsense, and everyone knows that 2 + 2 = 5. But 2 + 2 = 4 is science fiction nonsense, isn't it? It's a science fiction nonsense, and therefore would, by that logic, or lack of it, that anti-logic, would 2 + 2 therefore equal 5?
Now, I thought that I'd just make a very quick video to show you what the Rock business is all about.
It's 23 minutes long. That's quite quick by your standards.
And then Emlyn-Jones will go along to a presentation, and someone will repeat one of these abduction stories, or another one of these science fiction stories, and Ben Emlyn-Jones would say something like, "Why would these people make this story up?"
Isn't that a good question? Well, what do people gain from making up these stories, Steve? What's if people, I believe their people are abducted by aliens. I think some people are genuinely taken against their will by extraterrestrial beings. And when in terms of making it up, the incentive for making it up is what? Why would Ellis Taylor, for example, what has he gained from making these things up? Losing friends, losing job opportunities, having an awful lot of stress put into his life, having his health affected. I mean, I could give you other examples as well. The Andrews family, I can't even begin to start with what they've been through. They've written 2 books about it. Yes, they sell. And they don't make much money off them. I mean, if you want to carry out some kind of fraud by making up a lie, there's much easier ways to do it. There's much more lucrative ways of doing it. You could pretend to be some kind of... You could pretend... I mean, if you pretended you were some kind of mafia boss or a special forces soldier or something like that, you're much more likely to get your book published, and it's much more likely to sell widely. Also, I mean, if you just general fraud, I mean, there's... why not just sell dodgy double glazing? Why not just get beat up second-hand cars and paint over the rust? I mean, there's easier ways to fleece the public than this, Steve. There's more lucrative ways which will have a lot less drawbacks.
Now, when I posted the response video to the nothing like the truth seekers running around like headless chickens in Wiltshire, Ben left a post which I'll...
He's referring to the scene in my video Basis Conference 2019 where we visit this place where it says on the side of it Hangar 45. Well, I'll go through the points Steve makes. Steve, I might repeat myself a few times because Steve sometimes repeats a few points. If he does too often, I'll try to remember not to, just to move on. But anyway, carry on.
Show you in a few minutes. They were talking about this Hangar 45 in Wiltshire, and I'll show you a clip from that, and I'll show you the clip that I did about it as well. And they were saying that something sinister was going on, there was something secret going on, it was something to do with the Air Force. And indeed, Hangar 45 was something to do with the Air Force. It was part of an airfield many years ago. It was all broken up and sold off, and Hangar 45 was part of that airfield.
If you want to find Hangar 45, it's very easy. I mean, of course, you can just watch the background video, but it's actually on the road between Beckhampton and Churhill. It's just north in Wiltshire, and you just basically go down a little country lane. You can find it on Google Earth, and you come to a like what looks like an old factory, and it says on the wall Hangar 45. And Miles, Colin, and I went there. In fact, he'd taken Julie Phelps there the day before, and there were some curious elements that we decided to investigate because we wondered what it meant.
But it's nothing whatsoever to do with the Air Force now. It's flying an Air Force flag. It's just in respect of the fact that it used to be an Air Force building.
Well, that's true. It was flying the RAF ensign, as you can see. Now, Steve says this is just because it's just they're doing it for kind of old times' sake. Firstly, I don't even know if that's legal. Actually, if you can fly the RAF ensign just for old times' sake. I don't know exactly what the law is. I mean, I asked Julie about this, and she wasn't certain either. She was in the RAF quite a long time ago, but I know, for example, wearing a uniform which is misleading, like a police uniform or something, is regarded as a kind of deception. It is regarded as a kind of public deception, and I suspect that this might be as well. This is why we went there.
It's actually occupied by a company called Leroc, who make pre-stressed concrete products, walls, staircases, and that sort of thing. But Ben left a comment.
I'll talk more about Leroc in a minute, but that's actually true. But I'll come on to that in a minute.
Because they were saying something, something sinister was going on there. And
we thought something sinister might be going on there. We weren't certain, but we think it needed to be investigated.
Said that they know what Leroc really is, or they know what Leroc is, and that Ben Emlyn-Jones, Julie Phelps, who is the latest secret space fantasist.
Well, how do you know she's a fantasist? Did you look at her lecture? Have you watched her lecture? How do you know that, Steve? Do you know anything about Julie? Because I suspect that you haven't. I mean, the same way you obviously not heard of the alien interview video just before you made it. You watched it and you heard about it and made a number of assumptions. I think you're doing the same with Julie, but carry on.
I did individual nonsense. Said there was something going on there, and Ben and Julie and Colin Walford and Miles Johnston are discussing a strategy of how to deal with Leroc.
We're not how we deal with Leroc, the company itself, but how we deal with who might be possibly in there as well. And I should point out, we're not intending to do anything illegal. So before anyone gets the wrong idea, because I know some of the trolls will twist this, on no account are we planning anything that would involve breaking the law.
And I've asked him a few times, and Ben says, I don't have time to tell you what Leroc is. And I don't have time to tell you. I don't have a time to make a video telling you what Leroc is, and what the strategy is. We're all discussing what I'm discussing with Julie, what I'm discussing with Miles, and what I'm discussing with Colin about Leroc and what we're going to do about it.
Correct. I didn't, but I do now.
The reason for that, of course, is that he made that story up.
Made up what story? Are you saying there was no RAF ensign flying there? I mean, what exactly are we making up, Steve? What is it? I tell you, I mean, we are discussing. We have a private group where we are discussing this amongst ourselves, just the four of us, and what goes on there, I'm not privy to divulge to you.
He's not talking to Julie Phelps or Colin Walford or Miles
Yes, we are.
Johnston about a strategy to deal with Le Roc, because Le Roc is a concrete
We're not. It's not about dealing with Le Roc. I'll say more about Le Roc in a minute, about what it is.
company. It's all nonsense. So when Ben Emlyn-Jones tells you one of these abduction stories and says, why would someone make that up? I think we should all ask Ben Emlyn-Jones why he would make up that story about Le Roc.
But I'm not making it up, Steve. I'm not.
You know, that they're discussing a strategy. Julie Phelps, Colin Walford and Miles Johnston are discussing a strategy to deal with it, to deal with Le Roc. Now,
Not making it up.
is a story, isn't it? It's fictional. It's nonsense, because
No, it's not. Well, firstly, it's not. You haven't even really asked us in any detail about what's going on here. We've told you what we can, and you're filling in the blanks really with your own speculation, which of course is very biased.
Le Roc's a concrete company. What sort of strategy are they going to devise to deal with that?
Well, it's not about Le Roc. Hang on.
So let's first of all look at. Oh yeah, by the way, if you've never heard of Julie Phelps, like Julie, you could probably learn to fly starships and have your own encounters with alien beings, several species of aliens. All you need is a box of crayons.
You're referring to the images she's produced. Well, are you suggesting that she's doing something wrong? It could be that she's not actually a skilled artist. Indeed, neither am I. I mean, if I had to produce images of something which I've seen, indeed I have tried to do that. If you look at my article where I talk about my December 28, 2008 sighting in Oxford, I do a picture of what I saw. But I'm not much of an artist either. So the images are not as good as they would be if they were produced by someone who is a talented artist. That's not everyone could do everything, Steve. Not everyone. Julie does the best she can. I mean, she's made models. I mean, she really puts an effort in to describing what she has experienced in the best way she can. I think she does a very good job.
So that you can relate to your stories in vivid colour.
What's funny about that?
Well. On with the video. Let's have a look at the truth seekers in action, shall we?
Okay, I'll just skip forward a bit there. That's
just because it's a precast concrete.
Hang on, go back a bit.
This building site is probably keep out flags up location of interest.
And now
Steve is simply what Steve's doing now. Is he simply watching the video that I made? He's watching the clip from the video that I made. I'll just skip through that. Just go back a bit.
Talking about dropping bombs, the Air Force, dropping bombs on that. But yes, he was just
go back
previous
slightly.
section of video. Let's have a look at the truth seekers in action, shall we? Previous section talking about dropping bombs, the Air Force, dropping bombs on that hill. It's got the
right. Yeah, this is the hillside where there's the obelisk. This strange obelisk right on the top of this hill in the middle of nowhere, and well, there's all kinds of strange things going on there. But anyway, Miles, as you know if you watch the video, Miles said there's actually an alien spacecraft buried there. I've heard that the landscape is actually designed. It's actually sculpted deliberately by earthworks. It's actually an earthwork and not a natural hillside, because it's intended to look like a part of Mars called Sidonia. Either way, I mean, there's a lot of strange things going on up on that hill. I've walked up there. It has like a white horse. It's actually not it's not an ancient white horse like the one at Uffington in Oxfordshire. It's actually a modern folly. I think it dates back from the 19th century. But there's a very strange atmosphere on that hill indeed. Something weird is happening there. There's no doubt about it. And there are the landscape is very chaotic. There's holes everywhere. There's shell scrapes and it's uneven. And the reason is because it was used in the early 20th century as a bombing range for the RAF, which is interesting considering there is an establishment very close to there It's that is the Hangar 45, which is flying the RAF Ensign.
Alien spacecraft buried beneath it.
Yeah.
And now they're following miles. They're following miles to another top secret location.
Well, it could be there's something secret involved there. Yes.
To the next location of interest.
Let's go forward a
It
little bit.
isn't an active military zone.
Yes, it is. Yes, it. Oh, well, it could be. It could be. There's all these warning signs everywhere. There's barbed wire. There's the security gate, which looks very, very elaborate. There's like an automatic gate with cameras everywhere and antennas on the roof, and indeed the RAF Ensign flying there. What's next? Hang on. Go forward a bit.
Because it's a precast concrete company.
Oh, La Roche. I'll come to that in a minute.
Doesn't look like a building site to me, Miles.
Well,
Right.
that was a practically brand new RAF.
Yes,
This means this is an
AF site at all.
Yep. There's also, funnily enough, the old Silent Circle Cafe used to be in that area, very close to it. The Silent Circle was kind of like it was a cafe where you could drop in, and it had a crop circle theme. And it used to be before the barge in. It used to be the kind of hub for the croppies. The barge has now taken that over sort of since the Silent Circle shut down. So if you want to go to the barge, it's lovely. Actually, if you like Panmo TV, you'll love the barge because you go in there. There's crop circle stuff everywhere. You'll probably see Matthew Williams propping up the bar. It's a lovely place.
it's flying the RAF Ensign.
yeah.
No, it looks like a factory, this building. There's a hedge currently hiding.
A little bit further.
It's a lovely area, just in the middle of like dish.
The airfield was broken up many years ago.
It used to be an airfield. That's right. They are flying the RAF Ensign. It's at half mast, which is interesting. Now, exactly why is that? I don't know. I'm not sure why that is.
And the hangar is a standalone area. There's no runways there. It's not an active RAF site.
No, I mean you could see that it has that look of a factory. There's these rows of wedge-shaped sort of terraced buildings, which you often find with factories. And I say the security is very tight there.
It's been used for commercial applications for many years, many decades.
That there is like a
Movement at its best again. Then anything could be further from the truth.
I don't want to.
The truth movement at its best again. Then anything could be further from the truth movement.
Well, again? You have to explain exactly what we've got wrong. What is it exactly? What is our error here? We're not saying that there's definitely some kind of secret operation going on there. We're just saying that it's a suspicious. There is something suspicious elements to this particular outfit. What's more, it's in a part of the world which is one of the most paranormal and ufological on the planet. The West Country of England is where there's all these ancient stone monuments, the biggest concentration on Earth. It's where most of the crop circles appear, although, of course, crop circles are a global phenomenon. They are centred on this area. So people say it's the heart chakra of the world. There's numerous underground facilities and things like that in the area. There's all kinds of strange things are seen in the sky, strange encounters with beings, men in black, weird cars going around. I mean, it's everywhere. People from that area have all kinds of weird experiences.
I don't want to,
They want to fill your heads with rubbish.
I don't want to get disappear. You know, I mean, there's no valour in being a false martyr. But
Well, because I don't want to I don't want to disappear, do I? No.
Valor of being a false martyr.
Well, of course.
What exactly is a false martyr, I wonder?
Oh, it's just where a false martyr is where somebody who, it's where you sacrifice yourself for no real point. Some people do that just to show off. I mean, and I don't want to be like that. So if I can protect myself, I will protect myself. That's my point.
I'm sure I'm being monitored carefully on CCTV right now. There's what looks like some kind of antenna.
Yeah, I mean there were cameras on this building, security cameras, and I didn't see which way they were pointing. I couldn't tell, but I imagine I felt someone was watching us.
Something. But that's quite something. So what's going on here, I don't know, but there's this car's parked in the car park, you see there. And there's this, probably an automatic gate there.
That's right, yeah. I mean, if you look at it, it's like a little. You go off the road. There's like an alleyway that goes down towards the security gate, and there's like looks like a combination lock, which is like by the side of the road, so you can operate it from your car window, like you would take like a ticket machine at a car park. And I imagine there's like a communication thing. There's probably a intercom and maybe some kind of camera.
So very interesting indeed. And Julie, who's ex-RAF herself, okay.
Oh, so Julie is actually someone who has experience within the outfit of the Royal Air Force who actually mentioned this.
So they were shown that place by the Julie, the new fantasist, the new secret space program fantasist.
It's the third time you said fantasist. Again, why is she wrong? Where you know, you've not engaged any of her points. I mean, you've not made a video. Have you made a video talking about her? I haven't seen on you. I don't watch your channel that regularly. But Steve, if you've made a video talking about her, fair enough. But I mean, I haven't actually seen your channel. Have a look actually and see what he's got here. Steve Mumbling. Let's have a look. What's he got here? Right. I always just put something up about comments about these fast radio bursts, mobile conspiracy claptrap, Richard E. Hall interviews Andrew Johnson, Snowden, 5G apocalypse. There's nothing here about Julie, the Apollo detectives, etc. Okay, and then there's the alien interview, which I've already replied to you about. So you've not made a video about Julie Phelps. If you do, then I could watch it and perhaps address the points you make in it. But just saying someone's a fantasist doesn't make them a fantasist any more, as I explained, than saying 2 + 2 = 5 means that 2 + 2 = 5. It doesn't matter how vehement you get. It doesn't matter how many adjectives you apply to it. It doesn't matter how many times you say, believing 2 + 2 = 4 is crazy, stupid, wacko, and you go through the thesaurus of, if you like, of every single synonym you can find. It does not mean that 2 + 2 does not equal 4. You have to provide a rational case. And I can provide a rational case back to you if there is one. Anyway, we'll carry on.
Hangar 45. Hang on, let's just go to something here. Actually, I should have got that on Google Earth, shouldn't I? In fact, I think I might. But if we go to this, I mean, this is...
oh, he's talking about Le Roc. Now, I'll do that. He just talks about Le Roc for a while. Now, the Le Roc, it's actually lerocproducts.co.uk. Le Roc, I mean, I don't know what it means. It sounds like something French, but it's a company that produces fittings of precast concrete, as Steve was saying. Now, I must point out, it's very important, in no way am I accusing the company Le Roc of doing anything illicit at all. And I must ask you, please do not approach Le Roc or contact them in any way on this matter. Leave them alone. I've got no reason to suspect them, as an outfit, of doing anything illicit. It says here, Le Roc was founded in 2003 to provide a client with a more direct and personalised service and be helpful in any way possible. It provides with contracting and installation departments of various pre-stressed concrete, flooring, and things like that. Now, and other things. They do staircases, walls, things made of precast concrete. Now, so it's very different from the Tavistock Institute, for example, whose website just doesn't say anything at all. But if you want to know more, just do go to lerocproducts.co.uk. But please do not molest them or attack or contact them in any way regarding this matter, please. I appreciate that. But yeah, they've got they obviously are a real company. It's not like a cover. It's got some like testimonials here. It does like it's done a flight of stairs in a public place in Wichamstow in Swindon, Wiltshire. It's done some constructions at Mallard House in the Newbury Business Park, and it's laid what looks like a pathway at the Kingsclere Golf Course in Hampshire. So yeah, it's obviously a real company, isn't it? Yeah. So there you go. Oh yeah, and it's it's done work at Sutton Courtenay in Oxford, which is, of course, is where I've been with my camera. Okay, so that's what Le Roc is about. and it happens to be housed at Hangar 45. But of course, that might not be the only institution at Hangar 45. There may be others. But then I'm going to move forward a little bit because Steve, all I've just described to you is basically what Steve talks about here. So let's go forward a little bit here. He says, I'm not going to bother playing this bit, but he says, oh, they just don't have a clue. He says, they don't have a clue. 10:45. Well, again, I could say, well, you know, if you say 2 + 2 = 4, you don't have a clue. Doesn't say 2 + 2 = 5, therefore. Anyway, let's go forward a little bit because he talks about it's on Google Earth, 1140. Where is it? Right.
Truth as truth.
It's just
It's nothing like.
all right. I've just skipped that because all he does is repeat the rhetoric he's always used.
Discs being hidden behind the bushes. Well, here we are.
He's looking at it on Google Earth. You can find this on Google Earth actually if you just check. It's the, like I say, it's one of the turnings off north from between Beckhampton and Sherhill, and you'll find it. It's very easy. It's a large building. You'll very easily find it.
This is Hangar 45, Yatesbury, Wiltshire, SN11 8FA, and as we can see,
Now let's go forward to where he talks about the microwave antenna.
right,
He's
Yeah.
going to the Google Earth view. Now the Google Earth view, is the street view is different. It's obviously taken at a different time
that's
of
where,
year. Because I went in November. This looks like it's taken in
That's
spring.
exactly
There's more
where-
greenery. The bushes are shorter,
That's exactly where Ben was standing. Look at that.
and there's no
Hangar
flag.
45. Has it got the little microwave antenna on it there?
Yeah. Now the thing I thought was the antenna, he says is microwave, and it's to do with the internet.
That's going to be a link. That's probably going to be their internet link or something like that.
Well, I mean, are they not on the mains? I mean, even these little remote areas in Wiltshire do have like cables. So I'm not sure why they would need some kind of antenna for that. If it's a microwave antenna, that could be for all kinds of things. I mean, like the radomes at Pine Gap, which is in Australia, where Steve comes from. It's in Central Australia. Steve's from Western Australia, but it just does. It's just an example of what we're talking about here. If the fact they have this antenna, I think, is odd. If it's there at all, it must have some purpose other than simply normal communication through the normal phone lines. All right. And of course, Steve will point out in a minute. I'll let him carry on.
To a Telstra site up the road. And
Telstra is the Australian National Communications Carriers. It's like BT in Britain. It like runs the lines and things. So of course you're going to get antennas. I've been to the Telstra Tower in Canberra. You get a good view from the top there on a clear day.
there is no Air Force flag there.
That's right. Yeah, there's no RAF flag on this particular picked image, and you can check it out for yourself. But the question is, when was that Google Earth photo taken? It may not have been recent. I mean, in fact, you can actually tell by the look of things. You can see very clearly that it's a different time of year. I'd say it's spring or summertime, judging from the greenery. And it looks as if also it's been pruned slightly as well. The hedges have grown a bit since this photo was taken, because when we went there, the hedges, you could see a lot on this image you can't actually see when you're there, when we were there in November, because the hedges are a bit overgrown now.
Wouldn't read anything into that. Looks like there's some sort of light, maybe an antenna on the top of that pole. But there we go. So it's a concrete company. I suspect that
Yeah, I know.
they put the Royal Air Force ensign halfway up the pole because it's ex-Air Force hangars.
Well, you could say they did it out of some kind of tradition, but again, I'm not sure you can actually do that. I'm not sure. But it was certainly, the RAF ensign was certainly there when I went there. It was there the previous day when Julie went there. The question is, what's really going on? Anyway, I'll go forward a little bit because Steve now comes to the comments section. There we are.
As not to look up what was advertised as occupying that old hangar.
And now this is referring to a comment that I made on one of his
We know
previous
what
videos.
Lirock is. Miles, Julie, Colin.
This is a comment
and
I left on one of his videos.
Miles, Julie, Colin and I are currently privately discussing strategy to deal with it.
Correct.
Okay. So there's Ben. And he's saying, Do you think we're so daft as not to look up what was advertised as occupying that old hangar?
Correct.
We know what Lirock is, so why not tell us, Ben?
I just did.
Miles, Julie, Colin and I are currently privately discussing strategy to deal with it.
And we are indeed. We are indeed. As I said, we're not planning on... We are concerned about certain elements of what's going on in the area in general. Not necessarily the company Lirock, but of what's going on in that area in general. And we are we're making plans on what to do, and as I said, we're not planning to do anything illegal. This is all above board, but it is confidential but certainly simply for the sake of privacy, personal privacy. We are keeping this confidential, Steve. That's perfectly legitimate, and you've got no right to complain about that.
Take you about 10 minutes to tell us what the strategy is and what Lirock is.
Well, I've told you what Lirock is, and that's not a secret. As I said, you've already looked it up and you've already checked. I'm quite happy to talk about that. But as I said, I explained to you earlier, the reason I haven't made a video about this is simply I've had other things that have got in the way. Going to see Eyes Wide Shut, the fact that I was questioned by the police, things like that. Brexit, these... you're not very high on my list of priorities, Steve. No offence, but, you could go on the back burner any time. And you did. But here you are on the front burner. Your time has come. Fear not.
Fact. Wouldn't it, Ben? So maybe you can stop making feeble excuses and...
What feeble excuses have I made?
And get on with it. You won't, of course, because this is all rubbish. Lirock's a concrete company.
Yeah, I know.
And you were just jumping in feet first with with the stories told by the latest secret space program, Fantasist.
That's the fourth time you said Fantasist, Steve. You need a thesaurus.
And my reply, actually, was yes, I do, because he says here, do you think we're so daft as to not look up what was advertised as occupying that old hangar? Yes, I do. I think the first time you heard of Lirock was when I mentioned it in a comment on your channel, because Ben put the Truth Movement video thing up.
No, it wasn't. I'd already looked it up by then. But you did actually put a comment on my channel about Lirock before I ended up speaking publicly about it.
And I said this hangar 45 is occupied by a concrete company called Lirock.
That is this is clearly the public company that is based there. Yes, it may not be the only organisation that's based there, but it is a company that is working publicly. It's a public-facing organisation which is based at that facility. It does not mean that it's the only organisation based at that facility. There may be others that are not public-facing companies.
And I honestly don't believe that Ben had heard of Lirock before I posted that.
Wrong. I had.
Comment.
It was actually, when I got home, it was one of the first things I did. Was I went onto Google Earth and I checked out the net and I checked out exactly what that thing was. I didn't film it, but that's what I did.
It says you're... what else? Yes, I think you look like a bunch of Muppets and are now desperately trying to come up with a damage control story.
I'm not in a position to comment on how I look, Steve, to you or to anyone else. Only they are qualified thereof to say. But I don't believe we're not coming up with a damage control story. This is your speculation. This is the equivalent of the minibus at Rua in Zimbabwe. This is you pulling this basically out of the ether and putting it in as an explanation. Only this time it's about me. It's not about a particularly factual issue. It's just what you think about me, and you're not really making any. Don't have a reason to think that.
Well, actually, he's not, is he? He's trying to wriggle out of responding at all.
What am I doing now? I'm making a video about it, Steve. That's not wriggling out of it.
About it. So he's not trying to come up with the damage control story. He's hoping it will go away, so he doesn't have to come up with any story, because he knows as well as I do that Miles, Julie, Colin and Ben's combined IQs probably wouldn't make double digits.
Comedian Steve Mumbling. Yes, book him in at Jonglers.
I don't think Lirock's got anything to worry about, do you?
I'm sure they don't. as I said, I don't have a problem with the public-facing company that is based at that facility. I'm just wondering if it is the only company based at that facility.
Currently privately discussing strategy.
You see, the thing is, a lot of these secret organisations do work behind a front. They work behind a front. For example, you might have an office block which has some kind of company which is just like a normal company, yet the facility also has another organisation running it behind their scenes, and that's secret. It runs in the organisation and uses the presence of this company as a cover, so it doesn't have just a silent, empty building where no one knows what's going on there. I mean, a good example, of course, is a ship called the Glomar Explorer. This is a perfectly normal registered merchant ship, which you could find on any. It was completely innocent to look at. It was operated by the CIA. Why? Because it had a secret compartment underneath. It was almost James Bond like this. In fact, it was it was actually very interesting because it's now been declassified. But it had a really unique mechanical device for lifting a submarine off the seabed, because a Russian submarine had gone down with nuclear missiles on it, and it was lying on the seabed, a wrecked submarine, and the Glomar Explorer was sent to pick it up, basically, and basically salvage it. They didn't succeed, but I think they got some of it up. But it was a very, very interesting. It was a very interesting thing. It was a really interesting story, and for all intents and purposes, the Glomar Explorer was just a normal ship. It operated as a front. It had an owner. It had cargo. It had like a registry. It had a list of ports it visited. Everything above board at the front. But the CIA were using it secretly, and I think that happens all the time, probably more than we realise. And indeed, the only reason we know about the Glomar Explorer is because it was declassified. There's probably a lot of things like that which are not declassified.
To deal with it, yeah, okay. And now let's have a look at Ben wriggling.
Wriggling?
When somebody asked him about this LaRock business on his
I'm wriggling, guys.
live stream,
I'm wriggling.
was,
I'm wriggling.
Fielding questions that he'd asked himself about his books.
Someone's asking about my books. Is that funny?
Okay, so we've seen.
This is hilarious. Steve has basically taken a clip from my last live stream.
Here's a couple of clips about LaRock, what they've got to say about it, and my look at it on Google Earth. And we've had a look at the comment that Ben Emlyn-Jones left below that video, where Ben Emlyn-Jones says that he knows what LaRock is. And he's been talking with Julie Phelps and Colin Wolford and Miles Johnson, and they've been discussing a strategy to deal with it. Now, Ben tells us here that he doesn't have time. He's really wriggling quite badly here, poor old Ben, because he knows that he made that up. He hasn't been talking to Julie Phelps and Miles Johnson.
I don't need to actually play this, but basically I just repeat what I've just said. All Steve is doing now is essentially repeating kind of what I put in the comments section. And also I include that the reason I haven't made a video about it because I can't be bothered. And it's maybe humbling for you to realise, Steve, you're not high on my list of priorities, I have to say. I make comments, replies, videos to you as and when required. Right now it happens to be required, but when it's required and when it's not, I think I'll be the sole judge of that. I haven't had enough time. I mean, just look at what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. There's Brexit, there was me being questioned by the police. I didn't have time to stop and basically just talk about mistakes you've made on your channel. I'm doing it now because those things have basically been put to bed, so now's the time to do it.
Colin Wolford about a strategy to deal with LaRock, because he knows LaRock is nothing more than a concrete company.
So? And
this goes back to the point that I'm trying to make here about the integrity of the woo-woos. They will make up stories.
Well, hey, you lecture me on integrity, but you haven't actually explained what I've made up. You've speculated that I've made something up, and I haven't.
To get you intrigued. Ben asks, why would people make up these stories about being abducted? Well, why would you make up the story about LaRock?
Oh, he's just repeating himself here.
Why would you try and give us the impression with it? I'm sure LaRock are shaking in their boots with such a 2 hours long about his book. He's got plenty of time to make another 50-minute video doing a film review of a film that was out 10 or 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's...
But he hasn't got time to spend 10 minutes making a quick video telling us what The Rock is and what he, Julie Phelps, Colin Wolford, Miles Johnson, the strategy they're developing to deal with it.
Okay, yeah, I have got time to make a video about Eyes Wide Shut and all these other things, because I consider that more important than replying to you, Steve. Simple as that. Now I have, you see, and the reason I'm not talking about any strategies because it's private. It's a private conversation between four people. It's none of your business. I'm not going to explain it. As I said, we're not doing anything illegal, but we're discussing things privately. It's confidential. It's like to want to know about that. It's like trying to ask people what emails they're sending to other people. It's very nosy, Steve. You're being extremely nosy, I must say.
What that's all about? What strategy they're talking about? Because there are no answers. You know, you've painted yourself.
Oh, right,
This is
okay.
not deceptive in this case. Making up a lot of science fiction.
No, he's just repeating himself here.
Something he should have done before taking the new secret space program Fantasy's word for it.
What?
Video in detail, and I'll watch it at some point.
Yeah, we are.
Claire's.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I'm watching it now, aren't I? I'm watching it now. Okay, I'm watching Steve. I've watched Steve's video. I'm making a reply to him.
Poor old Ben. He knows it's all bloody
Not
rubbish.
true.
I bet that.
All right.
Well, maybe I'll catch you again.
Alright, that's the end of that video. There's one more video. It's a little shorter, much shorter video I want to go into now, which is kind of along the same level. So let's see what this is. Steve Mumbling, rambling about Ben Emlyn-Jones and Miles Johnston. It's only 3.5 minutes long. Let's have a listen, shall we?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Steve is standing in front of like some kind of laser beam unit. I think it may be his work. I'm not sure.
Yes. Okay. Well, I've been watching the latest nonsense from Ben Emlyn-Jones. I thought, as I was,
Oh, nuts! Like the latest nonsense. You should get a job working for the Guardian, Steve, doing their film reviews and book reviews. Only you don't have the voice, man. You'd have to change your voice, but yeah, you could.
as I was visiting one of our top secret directed energy weapon facilities, I'd just shoot a quick bit of video.
It just says laser radiation. That's not top secret, Steve.
And Ben Emlyn-Jones was saying that Steve Mumbling is a fool. Yes, I'm the sort of fool that believes the Apollo moon landings were real.
Well, I think I did call you that at some point, and I think I've been a lot more polite to you than you have to us, I must say. Anyway, carry on.
And that the Queen of England is not, in fact, a shape-shifting lizard from outer space.
Well, it's actually not outer space. It's from the parallel universe. But yeah, I mean, I think that's true. And if you disagree, fair enough. But you know, it doesn't make you a fool with what you think. It just makes you either right or wrong. If I used any epithet, then I probably did it late in one of my comments reply videos. So well, that's what we do when you're tired, and I mean, you do it a lot more than I do.
What I really like, of course, about the Ben Emlyn-Jones response videos, or reply videos, is that he never actually replies. He reads the comment out, but he doesn't actually respond as such.
I do. I spend a lot of time going through your publications, both your videos and your comments, and explaining where I think you're right and where I think you're wrong. In what way do I not reply?
You know, a couple of times I've asked him about the concrete company, you know, the Hangar 45 concrete company.
Right, we're just going back over there.
Julie and Miles.
Yeah, I didn't reply to the concrete company points you made because I didn't want to at that time. It's just I think I might have said at some point I'll reply to that later. And but saying I'm going to reply to that later doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. I mean, what am I doing now, Steve? The very fact this video exists is proving you wrong.
We're going to be working on a plan to deal with them because they know what they're really up to.
We've been through this, Steve. Get to the point.
He never tells us what they're really up to and what this plan to deal with it may actually entail.
It's private.
My attention has just been brought, thanks to Trader Vec, to a Miles Johnston video where Miles is sitting there saying, well, you know, they haven't rolled out 5G, all of 5G, you know, there's lots of frequencies and all this sort of stuff, but he's got to say something because 5G is available in many places. It's certainly...
They're rolling out all over the world now. They want us all to have 5G.
Yeah, available in many places in Australia, and nothing's happening. The only thing that's happening is people have got better data rate.
Well, it doesn't happen all at once. I mean, some of the effects are chronic. For example, genetic mutations that result in cancer. These things don't happen overnight. It takes a while. It can take years.
On their mobile devices. There's no piles of dead birds at the bottom of lampposts.
I suggest you look at what's been happening in North Wales over the last couple of months, and in other places such as Arkansas, USA, where birds have turned up dead mysteriously, and we don't know why, and it could well have something to do with 5G, I think.
Piles of dead insects, people are not keeling over all over the place.
Oh, just you wait. Do check out Caroline Stevens and what she has said about 5G and the people she's interviewed, and people like Mark Steele. I mean, do watch that.
Population is not shrinking rapidly because of 5G.
Well, the population thing is it's probably been overestimated. I mean, because for various reasons to do with politics and the fear of overpopulation and this Malthusian nightmare that you often hear about, all population data from various countries will be interpreted as liberally as possible. There's said to be 7 billion in the people in the world. There may be less. In fact, the population is levelling off. I mean, I've done an entire video about this called Energy, Politics and UFOs, and several others where I talk about the population situation. The overpopulation thing is a myth. It's complete rubbish. And it seems that the population growth is slowing down. There may be several reasons for that. We do know people like Bill Gates have let it slip that vaccines are involved in what he believes is a necessity to reduce population in the earth. Well, look, how do you reduce population? How do you do it? Well, there's lots of people living in the world. I mean, you could just ask them nicely if they want to have fewer babies, when they're really poor and they don't have contraception and things like that. Or you could start changing them from alive people into dead people. And there are those seriously discussing it. People call it a conspiracy theory, and then I could point you to where people actually say it. Seriously, the Club of Rome, people like that.
So he's got to say something, doesn't he? Because nothing's happening, he's got to say, well, they haven't rolled out the whole frequency bandwidth of 5G.
That might be true, but even if it is, it doesn't mean that 5G is harmless.
It's going to kill us all.
That's their plan. It doesn't mean they're going to get away with it, but that's their plan.
Of course, this is alarmist nonsense.
No, it's not.
Absolute twaddle.
No, it's not.
Ridiculous rubbish. But
I get tired of synonyms.
That's all they can say, because
I must apologise if I have replied more than once to the same point Steve makes, because he tends to repeat himself an awful lot, so I can't always keep track of what I've replied to and what I haven't. So if I'm repeating myself in sort of like in response to him, I'm sorry about that.
It's not completely rolled out. That's why nothing is happening, apart from people have noticed with their mobile devices they're getting better data rates, better speed. Good heavens, I don't know.
Is it really worth it though? I mean, is there not a way of improving in the internet without creating electromagnetic weapons everywhere?
Anyway, it's just a very quick video. I'll make a better video and go to some timestamps.
I've done an entire. I think I've done a video about 5G. I'm certainly brought it up in a couple of videos, but we keep having these new antennas put up everywhere. Like do you remember the original antennas were like the first generation of 3G, 4G. The 3G one was like combine harvester blades, and you have these new ones came along which look like electric toothbrushes sticking in the ground. And now we have 5G. They're much smaller and they're more powerful. They can be put anywhere. They can be put into bus shelters. They can be put into street lamps. They can be put anywhere. And people don't need planning permission because they're so unobtrusive. The companies could put them in without planning permission. They could put them outside your house if they wanted to. It's like smart meters, the same thing.
A bit later on with the Ben Emlyn-Jones latest reply video. Most of his replies, of course, are not replies. And
I've done replies to you that are 3 hours long. If they're not replies and I'm not addressing your points, what am I doing? You see, I've stopped doing the ones at the moon landings. I've had enough of moon landings. I've done I think it's 3 reply videos or 4 reply videos about the moon landings. And I'm just willing to talk to you about other things, but not the moon landings.
The actual comments that he does attempt to reply to, his replies are gibberish.
Are they? Check them out, ladies and gentlemen. Go to my comments reply videos. Check out where I reply to Steve Mumbling. Am I speaking gibberish, or am I just speaking? Am I speaking rationally? I think I'm doing a pretty good job, quite frankly. I really do. And Steve's just saying that because he knows I'm proving him wrong. He doesn't like it.
Are nonsensical.
They're not nonsensical.
So we'll have a bit of a closer look at that. Anyway, I have some alien spacecraft to shoot down, so I've got to warm this gizmo up, and
It's this laser thing he's got here.
I'll catch you a little bit later.
That was his video rambling about Ben Emlyn-Jones and Miles Johnston, and he was certainly doing that. But anyway, some comments. Steve has put some comments on his video. I'll just check. Actually, there might be some more ones since I last. I have cut and pasted a few, but let me just put a new one here. Let's have a look. Let's just have a look at the comments that he's put here. Other people might have put here. Yes. Where are we? Just get them out. Just there's 4 there. Just because some of them will be like. Some of them need expanding. 7 of them. Oh my god. Because some of them were worth replying to. Because I actually did get into some comment discussions here. Right, Steve said, he says a pinned comment here at the top. This is on the previous video. This is Ben Emlyn-Jones and LaRock Gate. Steve says, I missed a point at 21:15. Ben says he did some background research about LaRock and talked about it in the video. He never mentions LaRock in his video at all. More fabricated twaddle. Well, okay, that's actually true. I didn't actually mention LaRock in that video, and I forgot that because I thought I had, but it was obviously... I didn't, but anyway, Professor Fez underneath says, Piffle, Poppycock, Balderdash, absolute rubbish. Another guy who swallowed a thesaurus. Professor Fez says, underneath that, so I take it we have a live debate. In the blue corner we have the author who shouldn't author. Very funny. The man who proves Droik isn't Oik, and that's true, yeah. Professor Fez, I think, is connected to Team Droik, by the way. The host we love to roast. The barrel in questionable apparel. I give you, Ben, the Behemoth Jones. I must say that's quite witty. And his opponent in the red corner, back from the dead, we have the Bruce about to be set loose. The skipper of the wood chipper. The moustache who is about to trash. We have Steve, the slayer of Men in Black, mumbling. Okay, boys, let's have a clean fight. Nothing below the belt. No outside interference. A fall, a knockout, or submission declares the winner. That's quite funny, yeah. And Wisdom Tree laughs at that. David says underneath that, if the managing director of LaRock Cement Limited and any other member of the working personnel working for that company were to watch this video, they would be laughing their socks off hysterically. Well, they might well, but the thing is, they don't necessarily have to know what's going on. It could be that the LaRock company there's some kind of secret passageway leading to other areas of that facility where other organisations are involved, and in fact, it's perfectly possible that the people go in and out of people go in and out of that secret passageway when no one else is about, maybe late at night or something. Professor Fez says that's a bloody good idea. Someone should send it to them. And Steve says they might think they're going to be picketed by a bunch of nutters. Well, that's already happened, doesn't it, Steve? Professor Fez says sending it to them would be good for a laugh. David says, Steve Mumbling, I look forward to listening to hilarious futures on videos on this again. And the Wisdom Tree says, maybe Ben will give you more information on LaRock in the next Mumbling reply video. Correct. And Steve says underneath, hilarious, I wouldn't be holding my breath. But I say underneath here, says, no, I will at some point. Steve is wrong and unfair here, and I'll explain more in my own videos. Professor Fez says, has this hardened your views, Ben? I think that's a joke about concrete. And Wisdom Tree says, why don't you guys have a live debate at a time that suits you both? And Steve says underneath, because he knows what would happen. Now, okay, I'd be willing to have a live debate with Steve Mumbling under just one condition. Steve must issue a full, public, unconditional apology to Colin Sugrin for what he said about him. If he does that, then I'm happy to debate with him. Steve said underneath, okay, Ben, let's have the answer to these 3 questions. Number 1, in your opinion, what is La Rock? Okay, in my opinion, La Rock is exactly what it says it is. It is a pressed concrete construction company, precast concrete, and it has a number of companies. It's obviously a real organisation that provides real work for what it does in the world. Nothing sinister about that at all. Number 2, what strategy are you, Julie, Miles and Colin discussing to deal with it? Okay, I'm not going to answer that because it's private. Number 3, what research had you done on La Rock before you made that Hangar 45 video? And please provide a timestamp to you mentioning La Rock in your Hangar 45 video. I'll get some popcorn in. Yeah, okay, well, I've already answered all 3 of those questions. And Professor Fez says, come on, Ben, do the debate with Mr. Mumbling. Are you going to let the likes of Johnston and Wolford lord it over you? We have your back concerning J.P. Branning, which is more than your piffle friends are doing, so no need to worry about that. Unleash the barrel in the corner. Well, I've already explained to you why I said Steve needs to do this before I'm willing to discuss things openly with him. He needs to apologise to Colin Sugrin, like I said. And Miles and Colin, don't lord it over me. I don't know what you're talking about there. The Wisdom Tree says, I agree, many of these so-called truthers are nothing more than good storytellers. Simon Parks, Corey Good, David W. I think that's David Wilcock, Alex Collier, etc. I also believe they took a lot of their information from old books and put their own twist on it over and over again. Now I can't speak for all those people, but I don't think you're being fair to all those people. Again, you're not really giving any examples here and explaining exactly what it is they say wrong or where they go wrong. And Steve just basically agrees with him here. Professor Fez says, very old books, especially the Amazing Stories, that was very popular in the mid-20th century to the mid-19th century to the 1940s. I didn't know Amazing Stories was that old because I got PDFs of some of them, and you get really sort of like early Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov stories on them, which I think are pretty good. I used to be a real science fiction buff actually years ago. Professor Fez says to the Wisdom Tree, it's perfectly true. The Greys and Reptilians were invented by H.G. Wells in 1893. They became popular down the years. That's where it all comes from. No, it doesn't, Fez. No, it doesn't. I mean, this is a conversation that we've had before over the skeptics, like Bill. Was it Bill Nye? Bill Nye, I think it was him. He claimed that people didn't see grey aliens before 1977. The reason is because it was the grey aliens that appeared in the film Close Encounters. And so what happened was Robbie Graham, a ufologist, looked into this. He managed to contact the production designer of that film and said, here, where did you get the ideas for those grey aliens that appear in the scene, the mothership scene at the end? And he said, it's simple. I just phoned up one of the people who have encounters with them, and they said, look, what do these aliens look like? So in that case, see what Bill Nye did then, he's put the cart before the horse. The Close Encounters is very interesting because it was made with the assistance of ufologists such as J. Allen Hynek, who actually has a cameo famously in that film. The truth of the matter is, it's the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind by Steven Spielberg was inspired by real UFO encounters and reports, not vice versa. And as for the Greys being invented by H.G. Wells in 1893, not true. They've been reported, descriptions of them that go back much further. In fact, they go back to prehistoric times. I mean, they appear in the walls of cave paintings in South Africa, for example. A. Larson says, Ben lives in an alternate fantasy world where ludicrous is fact, rhetoric no argument. And Steve says, the point is he knows he's deliberately lying. And then he just carries on repeating himself again. And no, I'm not deliberately lying. I'm not. Aid says, they're all lying to each other because they want to sell something. In Ben's case, it's his soul. Oh my God, man. You've really got me down as some kind of blackguard, haven't you? In the case of that other miscreant, he wants to sell books and lecture time. They're all delusional fantasists. All right then. As I said to Steve, Aid, should Susan Blackmore and all these other skeptics, when they speak at conferences, should they do it for free and give their books away? Should they do that? If not, why not? Because every excuse you make for them, you could apply for us. Blah de blah de blah. Oh, it's just more idiots. This is all rhetoric. I'm not even going to read these comments out here. You can check them out. Anyway, let's go to the other video now. We're nearly done now. I think I've covered everything. Let's go to the other video and check the comments there. This is rambling about Ben Emlyn-Jones and Miles Johnston. I hope there's not. Let's have a look. There may be nothing worth reading. I'm not going to just go over. Here we go. Oh God, there's so much here. Hang on. I didn't really look at these before. Oh, there's 21 replies on that one. Show more reply. Oh, there we go. I'm just opening out all the comments here. 24 replies. Oh bloody hell! Right, I'm not going to read all this because some of them are from people I should have blocked. But anyway, Lilac Lace says, "Oh, Happy New Year." Okay, that's all right. And then Steve says thank you and just repeats the thing he says in his video. Flappy Hands says, I thought it said class. Alright, it's about lasers. Oh, ABC123. That's an interesting name there. Emlyn-Jones could hardly deal with pushing a hospital bed, hence he was fired. So never mind a large company. Oh, so that's. I think I know who this person is. It's probably someone connected with Team Droik. Steve says, I think we should keep pushing him on the concrete company. He did quite angry at the suggestion he was making up the stories. Well, this is again, Steve. This video proves you wrong, there, doesn't it? Aid says, "Get it right, Steve. Shape-shifting alien, human, hybrid, reptilian." Oh, that's not neither. They're actually fourth dimensional, I believe. Aid says, "Ben says you're a fool. He's the unemployable layabout with no hope. At least you get paid by the taxpayer to investigate deep underground military bases." All right, look. How am I unemployable when I've got a job? I work full time. I don't know why people keep calling me unemployed or unemployable. I have a job. Ooh. Fez says, "Ben's now people call people haters." All right. Well, I don't call everyone. Who am I calling haters? I'm not saying that about you or Steve. I'm saying that about the trolls, people I have blocked. And this is just, oh dear. These comments are not worth reading out. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go. Fez. I'll read this out. He's stuck in a world of analog. This digital crap is going to kill us all, apparently, presumably including all the Illuminati globalists who are using it too. These people don't think that they're very well through, do they? Well, no. Firstly, I'm not suggesting we just go back to a world of analog. There's nothing wrong with digital transmissions as long as they're safe and they're not electromagnetic weapons. As for the Illuminati globalists, well, they're not. Well, without going into too much detail, they're not biologically the same as other people who look like humans. They also have places where they can hide out. And I said here, how come I'm unemployable? If I'm unemployable, I actually said this here. Now, Colin, I should say, has a successful career with an airline. And someone said, people say, well, that's dangerous having someone who has his beliefs working for an airline. I don't see why. And Fez says, well, Aid says, listen, we just want the best for you. You've got to stop communicating with losers and bullshit artists. Well, why should I do that? You're saying I shouldn't communicate with you then, Aid? Is that it? Ben, Professor Fez says, Ben, just take the tinfoil hat out of your ears for a moment. The people you are involved with are now using their platforms for serious criminal activity, such as selling phony 5G protection devices and wanting money for fraudulent free energy investment opportunities. Right. In that case, have you called the police? Because, I mean, I often hear people being accused of serious criminal activity, including myself, and I always say to them, well, call the police then. I mean, Miles has been accused of much worse than that, you know, by certain people. He's been accused of committing some of the worst crimes imaginable, and if one word of it is true, he'd be in jail right now. I've made this point in several videos, including I've spoken to Miles about this, and I've interviewed him. It's very obvious that this is all fabricated. If it's fraudulent free energy, why at least call trading standards Have you done that, or are you just going to sit around putting comments on videos? You know why? Because you're scared, Professor Fez, that these things will be proven to work, aren't you? Same with the 5G protection devices. Not only is this highly immoral, but also criminal. Okay, call the police, call trading standards. It's just a matter of time before the police are involved. Oh my goodness me! Oh, I should read this to the end, shouldn't I? Well, are you calling them? And it won't be because the man is trying to silence them. Well, the man does try to silence people. Look at how many people die or get their careers ruined because of this. Eugene Maloff fell off a train. Stanley Mayer poisoned while eating a meal. John Searle locked in jail under a false charge. We don't want that to happen to you, Ben. You have a daughter to think about. Keep writing your books if you must, but get away from these people and fast. What, Fez? What harm are they doing? What harm am I doing by being with these people? These are people I trust. They're my friends, and I support what they're doing. It doesn't mean I agree with every word they do or every word they say. But I believe, firstly, you know as well as I do, if you're honest with yourself, that things have been said about them which is fake. You know that the stuff that came out with Miles was accused of a couple of years ago, which I won't even repeat. You know he would be in jail right now if this were true. Same goes for Larry Warren. You know that this can't be true. This is the point. This is why look. If you Fez, do you think what about the tribunal I suggested, the Shield Tribunal? Get involved with that. That's the best way of dealing with it, isn't it? RC Veronesi says Ben's reply videos are so long. Never wasted my time watching. Oh, much respect from New South Wales. All right. Let's have a look. Blah de blah de blah. Poor Ben, you've really painted yourself into a corner. All right, just repeating again. Repeating. Blah de blah. Blah de blah de blah. The woo-woos know the world of woo is flagging, so they keep talking it up as well. Oh well. Obviously, 2016 is just someone who happened to someone else, is it? Right. I don't know. Wisdom Tree brings up Simon Parkes' anti-5G thing. I don't know much about that, actually, but you don't know it doesn't work, do you? How do you know it doesn't work? Blah-de-blah. I'm not going to repeat all this. I'm not going to read all this out. Oh, it's just talking about Simon Parkes. I'm not going to talk... And Sasha Stone. I'm not going to talk about that. Blah-de-blah. Blah-de-blah. And I actually... explain here that I have an answer to the concrete place, and I just repeat again, I'm not going to do it right now, and that's the thing. And Steve just then says, oh, this was 2 weeks ago. Oh, remember what I said about integrity? Well, as I said, and then Steve just repeats himself here. I'm trying to be like the thing about integrity, do I? Yeah. This is the thing. I mean, I think answering your comments is a sign of integrity, I think. Lady Lakshmi says, I don't bother serious about what Ben says because he's a far-right bigot. Oh, really? I do watch him from time to time because it's comedy. Right, well, in what way am I far-right? I've never been called far-right before. Oh, dear. Oh, no. Now, I'm not going to go on about that. In fact, I think this is a person I need to block because they are Team Droik. I'll go down a bit further. Let's go through these comments. All right, it's all just flannel. I'm not gonna go through this comments. These comments are just really, I can just see by skimming them that they're not up to much. They really are not up to much. So basically, I think that we can safely say I've now replied to Steve on this particular subject, and he can't go complaining anymore. I think I've answered his points. I think I've addressed them rationally. He will, of course, claim that I'm not addressing his points, and well, you, the viewer, if you agree with him, fair enough. But I mean, just ask yourself honestly: do you really think I'm not addressing his points? Be fair. Okay, so there'll be another video coming from me soon, a non-Steve Mumbling related one, hopefully. And I only reply to Steve when I think it's necessary, and this is just one of those times. Well, thank you all for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order.